There are two reasons most people fail to achieve their goals. They're focused on the wrong destination and or the wrong mode of transportation. We are going to fix that. Let's go. You started the year with great intentions, but now you're running out of steam, and it's frustrating because it's not the first time. So let's break you out of that endless cycle and actually get you the results that you want. And it starts with choosing the right destination. I have a question that's really going to clarify things for you, but just for context, your goal, your destination needs to be meaningful to you. So many of our goals are really done for other people or because we feel like we should do them. And so one of two things happens. We either don't put a lot of energy into it because it's really not that important to us, or we achieve it, but it's a hollow victory. You want a goal that is personally fulfilling and that gives you a deep sense of satisfaction. So here's the question to ask yourself. Would I still want this outcome if nobody saw it? If no one was rooting for you, if no one saw the results of your work? Would you still want to lose weight if nobody noticed, if you still looked the exact same to other people? Would you still want to be a multimillionaire if nobody ever knew how much money you had, if everyone still treated you the exact same? If nothing changed in the external world, would enough have changed in your internal world? And let's not settle for pit stops, people. Pit stops can be great checkpoints along the way, but the reality is, we don't pitch our tents there permanently because our true destination is somewhere bigger and better. This is where you need to figure out your why. And look, I get it. I can come up with a good reason for doing pretty much anything. But let's say that you want to take up knitting. When you dig a little deeper, you may discover that what you're actually seeking is relaxation, self-care, some downtime. Or you might be looking for a creative outlet. And yes, knitting could help you achieve those things, but it's a means to an end. It's not the end goal. It's not the end destination in and of itself. It's a pit stop. Now, I'm going to come back to this point in a minute because once you establish why you want something, you will be able to build a much better roadmap to success. You also need to be able to pinpoint your destination. Being happy or successful or rich or healthy, those are all great, but they're not actual destinations. You don't wake up one morning and think, I'm here. So you have to have some way for your inner sat nav to know when you've made it. This could be a specific number, it could be a specific date, it could be when a certain event happens. It might be a case of figuring out where you are now, what your baseline is, and then measuring your progress, tracking your progress to make sure that you are surpassing that baseline on a regular basis for a certain amount of time. It's the point at which you can plant your flag. You should know for sure that you have arrived at your destination and not, I think it's around here somewhere. Now at this stage, avoid a huge mistake that most people make. Setting goals that are outside your control. I recently hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yay, thank you. And while it's definitely something that I wanted, I cannot control whether or not someone hits the subscribe button. But what I can do is, upload videos that I truly believe are helpful and informative, maybe a little bit entertaining, and that are more likely to make people want to subscribe. Instead of focusing on an outcome that is outside your control, change your goal to what you can actually do that might influence that outcome. Now, sometimes on your journey, a certain path will be blocked to you. This is where we come back to pit stops. When you know what your true destination is, you will be able to figure out multiple different ways to get there. When you know it's not just knitting, it's actually creativity, all of a sudden Extra avenues of possibility open up to you. New ways of achieving the same result. You know, very often the difference between somebody who actually reaches their destination and the person who sits around feeling sorry for themselves, stuck at that pit stop, is the ability to pivot. You know, it's the person who hits an obstacle, hits a roadblock, and knows that there's a different road that they could take. They figure out a new path, you know, they make alternative arrangements, they figure out a new mode of transportation. It sounds really obvious to say this next thing, but so many of us make this mistake. Choosing the right destination, maybe even choosing the right mode of transportation, and then doing nothing about it. You know, you can't sit behind the wheel of a car and magically expect it to take you where you want to go. You have to take the necessary actions to move yourself forward and steer yourself in the right direction. What actions, no matter how small, are you going to take on a regular basis to get you where you want to go? This has to be part of your routine. It has to be part of your life. James Clear covers this wonderfully in his book Atomic Habits, which I'll link below for you. I would highly recommend it if you're interested in creating and building a system or a series of habits that is going to propel you forward. But if you take nothing else from this video, remember this. You're not just aiming for a goal, you're building a lifestyle that supports the achievement and the continuous success of that goal. Now, your mode of transport, how you are going to achieve your goal, the things that you're going to do to get you where you want to go, it has to be comfortable. Sometimes it takes a long time to get to your destination, so you need to make the journey as intrinsically rewarding and engaging, or at least as tolerable as possible. That might mean more pit stops along the way, you know, instead of pushing for hours, maybe even days, setting a shorter time frame to give yourself a break. It might mean taking the scenic route and, you know, ensuring that your surroundings and your environment are as inspiring, as calming and interesting and relaxing as you can. It might mean having sufficient snacks, or, you know, having someone with you. Could mean having a great playlist. It might even be something as simple as wearing comfortable clothes. The journey takes a lot longer than the arrival, so make it a good one. And remember that if one road is blocked off or it is uncomfortably bumpy, find a new one. Now, one of the best ways to support yourself, apart from just surrounding yourself with supportive people, is to set up your environment in such a way that you can't really fail. Set it up in a way that works for you, but don't let your home, don't let your surroundings be a temptation trap. You know, it's really hard to eat healthy when your cupboards are full of crap. You know, it's really hard to get a good night's sleep when there's a lot of noise and light and other kind of disturbances and distractions around you. If you want to make your journey as frictionless as possible, then you really need to set up your environment for success. You fill your cupboards with healthy, pre-prepared snacks. You make sure that your bedroom is dark and cool and quiet, and that you get into a routine of removing distractions and disturbances and anything that might kind of derail a good night's sleep.
2 moments later.
It's so much easier to remove a temptation than it is to constantly try and fight it, because let's face it, that eventually is a losing battle. So how can you eliminate or minimize temptations or distractions? And how can you set up your space for almost inevitable success? A goal isn't a one and done. You know, nobody reaches their destination and immediately turns around and heads back home. And it's not just about what you're doing, it's about who you are becoming. It's about the life you're creating. Now, you have to watch this video if you want to kickstart the process and reach your destination within the next 3 months. Until next time, gref mille maith, agus feici mé sibh se glua. Slán!